Hey, that's her right there. Get in touch. That lady right there with the long hair, she took it up. We'll talk to him. What did he say? Ask her, friend. What did he say? What did Lieutenant Morrow say? Yeah, that lady right there.
Drag us out of your lobby.
They won't even let us in at all. We have to stay back here.
We honor Dr. King.
Come on. Lieutenant Morrow, give us a day or time. What'd she say? Too bad.
I just let her know we get arrested if we don't get there.
What did she say?
She just walked in, looked in the middle of worry.
She went back in?
Yes.
Army Corps, okay. Go!
Army Corps!
Open the door!
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 Army Corps! Open the door! Army Corps! Open the door! Army Corps! Open the door!
Open the door! Open the door! Open the door!
They're locking the doors. They locked it on us.
Well, then they'll have to drag us out of the doorway.
Come on. Why your mouth blue? What is this, a tribe that wants to talk to you?
63, 4.
We're not violent. We're peaceful. Just come down and meet with us and talk to us. That's all we're asking.
Yes, it. Do it.
Come on.
Hey, we got some raging grannies here.
Other people walk away. I'm like, I'm walking out.
Yeah, not too bad. Pretty good.
We got some raging
Better, he's not using a wheelchair, huh?
Oh yeah, it's an effort though.
You got a song?
Remember?
Effort, yeah, but
Thanks for your effort.
later.
Yeah, raging grannies.
Hello, hello. Hey, we were down here too. Let the Army Corps know. Actually, right now, what has been happening by the Army Corps and Caltrans is against the law. There are two bills, one in Washington that has been signed by President Obama, Article 25 to 29 on indigenous rights that pertain to protecting and preserving all secret sites. Last Indigenous Day here in San Francisco, Governor Brown signed Bill AB 52, which also states that all corporations, individuals, and people that come up on sacred sites and dealing with Indian lands, they have to work with the tribal council in the interest of how they wish things should be handled. And as you can hear, you know, Coyote Valley, Sherwood, Covelo, they have been trying to make meetings with Caltrans, and here's some of the things that's been going on. They haven't been keeping informed on nothing. So with just that one bill that Governor Brown signed, that since Indigenous Day, it shows violation, disrespect of the wishes, how he's been trying to work and protect and help Indian people all over here on preserving their sacred sites and their territory. You know, so whether I'm sure that they're not aware of that and what that means, but for us, it's a big accomplishment. And I want to thank Jerry. Jerry's been doing a lot of things that help us. One of the things when he granted Dennis Bank Sanctuary here when he was governor, you know, and And then following that, we had a lot of other things that came to us that were passed. But because of that bill that's in there now, all these things that are really happening held up this process, you know, of giving voice to Coyote Valley and saving sacred sites. They have been doing. So that's a brand new issue that our attorneys have to get a hold of to give to Army Corps to pull back under those bills, because there's so many violations. They can pull back the permit. It's reservation wanted to stop that bypass. It's all on sacred land. Good.
Raging Grannies, pipe up. All right. Ready? Here we are.
Where are the rest of them? Granny! Oh, Granny!
Who wants to speak in front of the puppet? It's a great backdrop.
So we passed out words. It's a familiar tune.
Oh no, that's fine. Caltrans started all this mess, took 2 lanes, made them one. Hello, Griswold. They had their plan, to hell with us. Shut your mouth, don't make a fuss. Bye, bye, freedom. The folks in Lewis have a better plan. The folks at Caltrans couldn't give a damn. Let local people have their way till Sacramento go away. Caltrans, bye-bye. All this made them money, oh, just to build an empty road. Bye-bye, time for Caltrans to admit they find them county cars to pick. Bye-bye, bypass. Tell us what's the goal of this destruction. Caltrans likes to call it road construction. Their ugly superhighway 3 sent dozers into 7th Street. Caltrans, bye-bye. Fish and grass and trees and birds have a voice that must be heard. Bye-bye, bypass. Little Lake Valley and its water need protection from the slaughter. Bye-bye, bypass. If you stop them, think they'll understand it. Caltrans is a monster and it must quit. Time for Caltrans to release the army that must be released. Bypass, scale down. Bypass, scale down. Caltrans,
It looks like we got a nice crowd of about 50 people here. We're out here at 1455 Market at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It's your live streamer, Freeman Sullivan.
Do you have Jane Hicks' phone number?
And we're in San Francisco.
Okay, what's up? We're going to phone Jane Hicks. Okay. Priscilla, after she gets interviewed, I'll have her phone. I didn't spell desocracy right on that. I was tired. I had to do it twice. I forgot the G.
No harm,
Right here. Will, we want you to talk first. I want to honor Will defending the victim. Let's introduce Will. Okay. We'll refer to the moment. Ask her if she wants to say more.
So for Bay Area people, I don't know how much people know about the story, because we're actually, it's Caltrans that's carrying out these projects, these terrible, ecologically devastating and culturally devastating projects up on the North Coast. And we're not a Caltrans office, right? Because they have a different district down here, it's the district that deals with the bridge. We're here at the Army Corps of Engineers office because in order for Caltrans to carry out any of these projects, whether it's the Willits bypass or Richardson Grove or the project that they plan in the Smith River Canyon, they need permits. There's a process, and they get the government permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. So the buck is supposed to stop at the agency that issues the permit, and that's the Army Corps of Engineers. And Caltrans wouldn't be able to do what they're doing if they couldn't get their permit. In fact, they violated a lot of their permits, and their permit to operate in the wetlands was pulled last June because they missed so many deadlines, because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. But the Army Corps reinstated their permits just because Caltrans made more false promises. It's been false promises all the way down the line. They said that they would document the archaeological sites. They said that they would notify the tribes when they found archaeological sites. They said that they would comply with the law and have consultations with the tribal members that are affected by the destruction of archaeological sites. And it's up to the Army Corps to see that they do those things that they promised. And Caltrans hasn't. And the Army Corps of Engineers hasn't. They've not only fallen down on their job and disrespected the tribes, but they've done it with such a great deal of crassness. Because several times they've admitted, mistakes were made. But it was because of faulty maps, or we didn't know. And then they just go on with business as usual. Well, where does the buck stop? The buck stops up here on the 16th floor with the officials at the Army Corps of Engineers. That's their job, to make sure that the permits are complied with, that Caltrans does not make false promises. That's where the buck stops. And that's why we're here today, because what do you do when an agency ignores your request for a meeting, which they're legally required to do these consultations. But besides that, just in the interest of human dignity and respect and community values, they should have these consultations. And they flat out ignored the request for consultation. So what do? You show up at their doorstep and you wait until they open the door and let you in to have that consultation. That's the responsibility, legally and morally. Yep. Okay, now we're going to hear from Karina Gould.
they think that that could save them. We are in protection of sacred sites here. We are people that come together because we know that our ancestors rely on us to protect these sites, and it is our work. We know that we're supposed to do this kind of work, and we come together, all tribes, all nations, to protect our ancestral sites. And so today I come here with honor and gratitude for my elder Fred Short, who helped us in starting our sacred fire when we took over our tribal territory on Carquinez Straits, Saborete, where we occupied that land for 109 days. I bring that strength to the Pomo people that we can do that we can continue to take over our sacred sites. It is our right as indigenous people. It is our right as sovereign nations to continue to protect our sites, our waters, our lands, our ancestral burial places. That the Army Corps of Engineers does not have that power, and we are not giving that power away. So I ask everybody to continue to stay strong and to listen to the leaders of those Pomo people. That we ask them, we're not asking, we're demanding that they stay off of our sacred sites. That they do not create this bypass, that they do not disturb our ancestral burial sites up there. That we stand with you on this land here of Yalamu today, but we will stand with you in Willits as well.
I'm quite honored to be a delegate from the Coyote Valley Band of Pomo, Mendocino County. We're here today to represent the Coyote Valley Tribal Council. We have delivered a letter from the tribal chairman requesting that we be given entry as representatives, official representatives of his tribe on the protection of ancestral cultural sites in the Willits Bypass. But you know, we stand on the shoulders of some very brave environmental warriors. For 3 months, our local environmentalists blockaded trucks, chained themselves to equipment, climbed wick drains, climbed trees, sat in a tree for 2.5 months, sat on a wick drain for 11.5 days. Our brothers and sisters whom we hold in so much respect from the environmental community of Mendocino County, Save Little Lake Valley, Willits Environmental Center. They stand with us today. They are spirit warriors with us, and they will stand with us as if necessary. We have to occupy land come spring to protect our sites. And Earth First, let me not forget my old school allies, Earth First. The Indian Treaty Council, old school defenders of tribal sovereignty, is with us in the house. And it is my deep honor to introduce to you Will Parrish, the man who sat on a wick drain platform, a greasy old slippery wick drain platform, for 11.5 days, trying to defend our sites from the penetration by thousands of what they call wick drains. Our ancient Yami village has been vivisected by 1,100 wick drains to create these fake wetlands after they destroy the wetlands. And he is the man in my heart forever of the hour, because he stood up there valiantly and tried to defend our site from penetration by 1,100 wick drains. Our ancient village has been penetrated by 1,100 wick drains, and we believe it's a cremation area based on the midden that has been removed. So our ancestors have been vivisected by wick drains, and this young ally from the environmental community heard the cries of our ancestors, risked his life. It is my honor to turn the mic over to an environmental warrior and defender of our tribal sovereignty, Will Parrish.
Well, shucks, Polly. Thanks. And so, my name is Will Parrish. I have been a part of the Willits Bypass opposition for about 2 years. Is this a good volume? In the back? Yeah. I live in Ukiah, and anytime that we engage in a struggle for justice, I think it's really important to recognize that we're standing in a legacy of people who have been doing these sorts of things for a really long time. And in particular, I want to acknowledge that there's been 522 years of indigenous resistance in this hemisphere, and it's an honor to be here working to protect the culture and the legacy of the Little Lake Pomo people. In Willits, people have been working to stop the Willits Bypass project for over 20 years, and many of the people here, including organizers of this event, have been working for decades to protect ecosystems in the region where I live and where this freeway is going to be constructed. And a couple years ago, we turned, as Polly was referencing, to a lot of different direct action tactics that are used all over the world by people to try to protect ecosystems and to stand up for justice. And my friend Amanda, I want to mention in particular, did a tree sit for 65 days and galvanized a lot of resistance in Willits at a time where it seemed like the bypass was inevitable. It seemed like the opposition was probably worn down, and it was assumed by the powerful interests behind this project, like the Army Corps of Engineers, that people were just going to roll over and let this freeway desecrate their valley and destroy ecosystems. And she got up in the tree and was there in spite of harassment by police, harassment by local ranchers and so on, and stayed there for 65 days. And there have been 8 different tree sits in Willits. There's been blockades and other tactics people have utilized to try to elevate this issue and to physically slow down the Willits Bypass construction. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened to me, just because I think it exemplifies the kind of dynamic we're dealing with the Army Corps of Engineers. After I got arrested and dragged off the wicket ring scissors, I apologize for that, and by a SWAT team from Sacramento, Caltrans came after me for $490,002 of criminal restitution fees for slowing down construction of this project. At exactly the time I was up there, Jane Hicks, the chief regulator who works in this building, came out to do a compliance inspection of the permit they'd issued for the Willits Bypass. Given that the largest filling in of wetlands in the modern regulatory era of federally protected wetlands in Northern California, since the Clean Water Act passed, is happening in Willits, and the Army Corps of Engineers is supposed to prevent any net loss of wetlands, they have to, at least act like they're trying to get Caltrans to comply with their agreements to not destroy wetlands. And she issued a warning to suspend the permit. And the maximum fine that she threatened Caltrans with was $27,500 for destroying this vast area of wetlands and being out of compliance with the law in doing so, which was about 18 times as much. My restitution fees maximum were about 18 times as much as Caltrans restitution fees could be for destroying wetlands and cultural sites. So, it's a really important development with this struggle that more and more people are looking at restorative justice and looking at being a part of overturning the really long legacies of injustice and exploitation that have been imposed on people in Little Lake Valley for the last 170 years or so. I saw that Phil Frisbee, the Caltrans spokesperson, in a recent article said that he was surprised to see the Coyote Valley Band of Pomo Indians caring so much about the destruction of their cultural sites, because according to him, they never expressed interest before. He also said that Caltrans was too busy working to develop mitigation for the damage to the wetlands to map the cultural sites in the Willetts Bypass project that they're obligated to map. So this is the kind of complete and utter pathological lying bullshit that this entire process and project is based on. And I just want to say that Phil Frisbee says that, you know, this interest by people just kind of popped up recently, but nothing pops up unless you've been putting it down, right? And people are popping up because they've been put down for a really long time, and it's really great to be here right now because this is a new and exciting part of this struggle that we've been engaged in that's been really disheartening at times. It's been really disheartening. Makes you sick at heart to see people playing politics with cultural sites and wetlands, but now we're here with allies in San Francisco Bay Area. People have been fighting for justice here, and I really appreciate everyone coming out here and listening to the words everyone's sharing and being a part of this, and it's an honor to be here with all of you. And thank you very much.
Organizational our former chairwoman Priscilla Hunter sat on the board of directors of Rigoberta Menchú.
I'm disabled, sir.
Yeah, no.
Even so.
No,
I'm not a journalist. Okay.
This is the International Indian Treaty Council. We have a representative from the International Indian Treaty Council who has worked with our tribe since we first took environmental stands and created a 3,900 intertribal wilderness park to be forever preserved from Canada. Tony Gonzalez stood with us, took a lawsuit with us, and stood with us when we went to Chiapas, Mexico, and with my brothers and sisters in danger of the Mexican government massacring them. Tony helped us get to Chiapas. Tony helped us create the Intertribal Sinkyone Wilderness Council and a 3,900 intertribal wilderness park, the first in the nation. We are
Sir, I'm disabled. Would you please leave me alone?
Right.
I'm disabled, sir. Would you please leave me alone? Okay? I'm not bothering you. I'm not attacking your building. I'm not going to be here that much longer.
Today is a good day, and I extend my hand in friendship. We've had many years of struggle, decades, and we've learned much, but we're still greatly misunderstood. Evidently by these institutions and the corporations and monsters that continue to plunder and pillage and think they can still run through our communities, our villages. It's not only Caltrans that's on the list here, the threat to sacred sites, but it's all coming together with the XL pipeline and other type of extractive industries that continue to exploit the land and the natural resources as we quickly spiral down, headed downward, culminating with this climate change that's happening. Even though bills and legislations and declarations pass, evidently corporations and fired up by developers and investors continue to disregard the will of the people. And so we have to stand up and challenge. Indeed, we have to continue doing what our good friend, elder, and statesman Martin Luther King had told us, that we have to continue with constructive tension. So keep that in mind, constructive tension. There's no harm in pushing that button forward. And we may have to do that with that pipeline and the highways going through. It's all for one, and it's affecting our sacred sites. There's an international declaration that passed back in 2007, the Declaration on the Rights of Indian Peoples. And within that declaration, it also calls for governments to adhere to the principle of prior informed consent. And that would be free, prior, informed consent. And so that will is not there. That political will is not there, it's lacking. And so we have to just ratchet up our activities a little bit more if we have to. And I call upon our elders to join and stay with us. I call upon our spiritual elders to continue to walk with us and guide us. I call upon you to continue to make this circle of life grow that we are very much a part of. And we do this for the coming generation. Every action we do in this moment, in this time, in this year that we are in, we are indeed doing it for the 7 generations ahead of us. So we are with you. American Indian Movement is here with you throughout, and our representative and statesman, spiritual advisor, Fred Short. I want to also remind you all, this coming Friday and Saturday, the American Indian Movement of the West Coast will be meeting here in San Francisco at the California Institute for Integral Studies. That's 1 block just south of here. And on Saturday, I will be blessed if I have Fred Short on our agenda in the morning to talk about Willits and the Caltrans intend to go plow through there. And that would be on Saturday, this Saturday, at 10 o'clock at the California Institute. I want to thank you, my relatives.
Well, the police have showed up. There are a few of us willing to do civil disobedience if we are not allowed in to this building today. But we would sure prefer to have a meeting, a requested meeting from a tribal chair of the North. We would like tribal sovereignty to be honored, government-to-government consultations. But right now, I'm seeking. Okay, we have the cops showing up. There are a few of us willing to get arrested if necessary, if we are not allowed in this door. We have a letter from a tribal chairman under federal executive order, reaffirmed by President Obama. This Army Corps is mandated to meet with tribal governments when their cultural resources are impacted by federally funded projects. This is a mandatory obligation under federal law. And by the way, behind my back, we have some brilliant lawyers who are willing to take these suckers on. A lawyer who has beaten Caltrans twice, once in Smith River and once in Richardson Grove. So we're not messing around here, Caltrans and Army Corps. We're not messing around. We'll go to jail today, and our lawyers will suck you up next. That's just how it's going to come down. I do have in the audience today a member of the Ukiah City Council. We are honored to have him with us. I'd just like to identify yours. We have an honorary member of our local government standing with tribal nations. Go, City of Ukiah! Go, our elected official, for respecting and honoring our cause. So at this point, I believe we need to get Priscilla to talk to the cops, to show them the letter from our tribal chairman requesting entry into this building, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Well, you see what anal motherfuckers these people are? They wouldn't even let me sit down over here. Kept harassing me about sitting down. I thought I just said, fuck it. But that's not no issue.
Open the door!
the doors locked. As usual, they're afraid to talk to people. We've got about 50, maybe 60 people here now. All right, folks, well, we're going to be waiting around here doing civil disobedience. I have a appointment here in a little while, so I'm going to have to let everybody go, but I love you very much. Everybody drop back. We'll be live streaming again later this week.